Once upon a time, in a quiet countryside where the fields stretched as far as the eye could see, there lived a horse and a donkey on a small farm. Both animals belonged to a kind but hard-working farmer, and though they lived side by side in the same stable, their lives couldn't have been more different. The horse was tall and graceful, with a shining mane and proud posture. He was the farmer's favorite for pulling the cart to town on market days and for riding through the fields on sunny afternoons. The donkey, by contrast, was short, sturdy, and used to carrying heavy sacks of grain, tools, and firewood. He didn't mind hard work and never complained, but his back was often sore, and his hooves were worn from long days on the road. Despite sharing the same barn, the horse barely spoke to the donkey. In truth, he looked down on him. "What a dull life you lead," the horse once said with a snort. "Always carrying things, always tired. You should try to enjoy yourself more, like me." The donkey just smiled gently. "We all have our duties," he replied. "Some carry weight, some pull carts, but all work matters." The horse didn't listen. He trotted off, tossing his mane in the wind. One hot summer morning, the farmer loaded 2 large sacks of grain onto the donkey's back. The sun was already high, and the road ahead was long and dusty. The donkey braced himself and began walking slowly, each step heavier than the last. The horse, walking lightly beside him, carried nothing at all. As they climbed a steep hill, the donkey's legs began to tremble. Sweat poured from his brow, and the sacks felt heavier with every step. "Liz!" the donkey gasped. "Could you help me carry just 1 sack? I don't think I can make it much farther." The horse looked at him with disdain. "Me? Carry a sack? That's not my job," he said. "I was born for speed and elegance, not for hauling burdens like a mule." The donkey didn't argue. He simply lowered his head and continued on, struggling under the load. He knew he had to finish the journey. The farm depended on it, but not long after, the donkey's legs gave out. With a soft groan, he collapsed onto the road. Dust rose around him and the sacks tumbled to the ground. The farmer rushed over, kneeling beside his faithful donkey. He checked his breathing and gently patted his side. "You've done enough, old friend," the farmer whispered. "You've worked so hard for so long." The donkey couldn't rise. He had given all he had. The horse watched in silence. He hadn't expected the donkey to truly collapse. He had always assumed the donkey was just slow and tired. But now, seeing him motionless on the ground, something inside the horse shifted. The farmer looked around, realizing he had to get the grain home. He turned to the horse and, with no other choice, loaded both sacks onto his back. The horse tried to protest, but the farmer was firm. "If you won't help when you can, you'll have to carry the whole burden when there's no one else." Now the horse had to carry the full load that had once been split between them. His steps, once so light and proud, were now slow and unsteady. The sacks pressed down on his back, and the journey, which had seemed so easy before, became long and grueling. For the first time, the horse felt what the donkey had endured every day. He finally understood the cost of carrying the weight alone. By the time they reached the farm, the sun was setting, and the horse was exhausted. The donkey, now resting in the shade, watched quietly. The horse lowered his head as he passed. "I'm sorry," he said. "I should have helped you when I had the chance." The donkey gave a tired but forgiving nod. "Sometimes we only learn by walking in someone else's hooves," he replied. From that day on, the horse changed. He no longer saw himself as above the donkey. When loads needed to be carried or work needed doing, he offered to help. The donkey, though weaker now, shared the effort whenever he could. They became true companions, partners in labor, and friends in spirit. And so the farm thrived, not just because of strength or speed, but because the horse and the donkey learn that no job is beneath anyone, and no burden should be carried alone. The moral of the story teaches us that if we refuse to help others when they're in need, we may find ourselves carrying their burden later when it's much heavier than it had to be.